My name is Amira Peterson, and my father, Gerald, made a decision that cost him nothing and cost me everything. He's never apologized. Not once. Not properly. This is what I've done with everything he took from me. Growing up, our family had a shape to it. Carl, the eldest, the golden one, the skillful footballer with the scouts watching and the future written across his face. Brian, the brilliant one, acing spelling bees and science competitions before he was old enough to tie his shoes properly. And me, Amira, the dancer, the middle child, the one Mum said God placed between two storms to be the calm, because I was the mediator for my brothers when they fight. I had been dancing since I was 5, won competitions, got trophies. Teachers pulled Mum aside and said words like exceptional and rare quality when referring to me. I felt most alive with music underneath me, like the rest of the world's noise finally made sense when my body was moving through it. Dad watched Carl and Brian with a specific kind of pride, chest forward, eyes bright, the full beam of his attention. When he watched me dance, there was something more complicated in his face. Even though he smiled and clapped for me, it still didn't feel genuine, never quite like that of my brothers. I spent 15 years trying to earn that look. Carl's injury happened in November. I remember the exact sound, a loud crack that cut through the stadium noise and silenced an entire crowd. It was the final game of the inter-school competition. Carl was tackled, and it was bad. Scouts from Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United all present and watching from the stands. The tackle hit hard at his right leg, and it fractured badly. He was taken straight from the pitch to the hospital. The scouts rang Dad within 48 hours and said, when he recovers, we'd like to talk about his future. The pressure in our house became worse. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Dad came to my bedroom. I remember the darkness, the shapes of furniture, his voice very quiet and careful. Amira, love, my beautiful child, wake up. We need to talk. We need to talk about helping Carl. I was only 15, half asleep, struggling to keep my eyes open. Then he said, "And Mira, your mum doesn't need to know about this just yet, all right? We don't want to whammy her." "Okay, Daddy." He kissed my forehead. I went back to sleep. I didn't know, couldn't have known, that the doctor had already told him the procedure carried significant risk to the donor, that the donor's mobility could be permanently compromised. Mom didn't know about this risk. What Dad told her was it wasn't anything serious, that he had read that assessment, understood it, and signed it. He chose Carl's football career over my legs, over my own dreams. He waited until Mom already slept. He lied to us all. He didn't even have the nerve to ask while I was fully awake. Carl's leg healed beautifully. Mine did at first, then it started to derail. Within months, I couldn't run. Then I couldn't dance. Then I couldn't walk. By the time I was 17, the wheelchair had become permanent. The doctors were careful with their language, complex donor complications, progressive nerve involvement. But the shape of it was simple, and my dad made sure it was so. My dad, Gerald, had read a risk assessment and decided his only daughter was an acceptable loss. Mom found out when I was 17. She was looking for her car's insurance document in Dad's study when she found the document about the intricate details of the agreement for the bone marrow transplant and the donor's risk. She was furious. She confronted him. He didn't deny it. Said he'd believed the risk was minimal. Said Carl's future was at stake. Said he had to do something about it. She looked across at me in my wheelchair and then looked at him.
"You did this, Gerald. You did this to our girl. How could you have done this? And you had to ask a sleeping child to give up herself." She cried hard and begged me. He never did. Their divorce finalized the year I turned 18. Carl turned professional that same year. Brian got into Harvard. And I learned to code. Not as a consolation, as a transformation. If my body was no longer my instrument, my mind would be. I studied with the same obsessive precision I'd once brought to choreography, breaking problems into components, finding the elegance in structure, building things from nothing. I graduated with a first-class degree. Then I started to build. 3 applications, each one solving a problem nobody had adequately addressed. The first sold for £340 million, the second for £290 million. The third, a healthcare accessibility platform specifically designed for physically disabled users, sold for £480 million. I'd made over £1 billion in my 20s, still in my wheelchair. Dad reached out when the third sale made national news. He sent a message. "Amira, so incredibly proud of you. Always knew you were special. Love, Dad." I read it 3 times, and each time I read it, the angrier I got. Then I did something no one saw coming. I granted an interview, my first ever fully personal one, to a journalist I trusted at a major publication. I told the complete story, how I transcended to the wheelchair, how my dad kept the truth from Mom and I. The risk assessment he'd read, signed, buried, and hid from Mom and I. The informed consent I was never genuinely given. The dancing I never got back. I didn't name it as revenge. I named it as my untold story. I'm a healthcare accessibility advocate. I build tools for people whose physical limitations were imposed on them by circumstances outside their control. In my case, that circumstance had a name. I think it's time people knew what that name was. The interview ran on a Thursday. By Friday, Carl's club had released a public statement distancing themselves from any knowledge of the medical circumstances. Brian rang me from Harvard, quiet, devastated, fully on my side. Dad rang me on Sunday, broken in a way I hadn't heard before. "Why did you do this? What did you have to do this for? Why are you trying to destroy me?" I was quiet and listened to him ranting. Then he said calmly, "You've destroyed everything. You destroyed me, Dad. You destroyed my dance career, Dad. I waited all these years for you to apologize to me after destroying my plans. Did you, Dad?" He was quiet. "Answer me, Dad. Did you?" He sighed. Then I said, "I waited 20 years to say this out loud." My voice was steady and clear. "I didn't burn your life down. I just finally told the truth about mine." His voice broke. "I'm sorry, Amira. I am truly—" "No, you're not." I ended the call, laid on my bed, put my headphones over my ears, and played my favorite music. I closed my eyes and let myself remember exactly what it felt like to move.